Thank God, he shouldn't be in charge of Trump anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
All set, we're good.
Yep. Again, the meeting, first item on the agenda is the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, any changes, additions, deletions to the agenda?
Did you, just what you had,
Yeah,
you're gonna bring up under your report?
yeah. I just took a note that updated agenda. Okay. The first thing is the meeting minutes from October 28th meeting.
I move to approve the minutes.
I second that.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Abstract dated today in the amount of $64,316.67. Abstract number 9. I know Jane has done some auditing. I don't know if you looked at anything too.
Yeah.
No, so
So moved.
moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Well, seconded first.
Yeah, what would you do?
Okay,
My second.
he did. So now you're ready to, now we're ready to ask questions.
On page 1, what is CIRFA? CIRFA?
CIR.
It's a TED thing.
Do you have,
Reviewed CIRFA.
CIFRA.
CIFRA.
CIFRA is for the planning board.
It was a
for next
planning
door,
board application.
Or on the corner of Academy and Genesee Street.
oh, that's the
Yeah,
last name.
That's the last
That's
name
the
of the
last name.
property.
Oh, okay.
Tracy CIFRA.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think of an
acronym.
yeah, that me
Yeah.
too, yeah.
And the HPC review of Vieta, the particular property?
It was,
Down on Mill Street when they were redoing their property.
it was
line.
the Fietta property right next door to Craig Paul Davis.
Yellow House,
Okay.
that's for sale.
Along
now.
with the others as well, there's a combination of lot line adjustments.
It's like 5 lots that spread over.
Yeah, that wood property was in the historical district itself.
I have one.
I don't know if this is the same. We had discussed in the last meeting that the boiler, we approved up to $2,000, and is this 880?
That,
Is that a different one than
does it
the
have the code on that?
A1620.4?
It's for this, but it is a different one for what the work that they did before. That's not the work we approved.
Still need to have done. Okay, just curious.
Yep. Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, another question? All in favor?
Aye.
Do that. Okay. Departments, so DPW. We don't have Jane here this evening, so, or afternoon, so you want to just go through this?
Yeah,
This
fine.
would be fine. Yeah.
So for purchases, I have to order salt. I'm gonna order 300 tons, so it should be enough to get us through the winter. It's on county contract for $50.28 cents a ton, so the total would be $15,084.
So motion to buy some rock salt from the county contract for $15,084.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have our generator serviced every year, and there's some bad radiator hoses and stuff. So the generator needs repair. So that total is $4,346.60. And then Mike, you just need to sign the quote. Okay, send it back to them. Okay.
So motion to get our generator repaired and I'll sign the contract. Moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and then we completed 3 different sidewalk projects, 311 Spring Street, 204 and 412 Orchard. Those also had some driveway aprons and stuff, so we did a little bit of asphalt work while we were doing that. So those are all set and ready for winter. Bartlett pruned the hazardous tree at 105 Penwood. So that work is completed, and then we're still waiting on Warren Street for that, for the next work that they're gonna do. We started decorating, Christmas trees in preparation for the tree lighting ceremony. The limestone tree is done. And then we'll get to the memory tree and the big tree over the next week or so. And then we also decorate the town of Manlius buildings for that, so we'll do that at some point, but typically that's least on the priority list. We got 3 plow trucks put together, not that we've needed it yet, but it's coming at some point. And then just a brief leaf update. So far this year, we've picked up 716 yards of leaves. Year over year, we're much higher than we typically are. In terms of the number of yards we've picked up. Both machines are out and up and running. But with them all falling in what seems like a span of a week, it took us an entire week just to get off that one side of town. So we are making our way around. It's just taking a little bit longer this year because everybody, with it being 70 degrees, has gotten out and raked. And so we are getting around. It's just taking a little bit longer. And then just a reminder, please keep them away from catch basins. So if we get rain like we did last night, we don't have to worry about drainage issues and stuff like that. And then when we switched and did the new trash truck, I know Dan had asked if, just kind of around Thanksgiving time to get an update on tonnage and how much we've taken to the dump. So far since June, we've taken 479.9 tons of refuge, which is just trash. Last year, for the whole year, we took 1,129.43 tons. So we're pretty much on pace for about the same amount in terms of refuge. C&D in bulk, we've taken 61.5 tons through October. That one I didn't do a comparison because we've added bulk to that C&D tonnage from last year, so it's not going to be an apples to apples comparison. And then recycling, we've taken 166.5 tons through the end of September. Waste management is a month delayed in their billing, so I won't get the actual tonnage numbers until through the end of October until the end of November. Last year we took 363 tons, so we're a little bit above where we were last year with recycling. And then hard fill, we've taken 29.97 tons, and then kitchen compost, we've taken 3.22 tons. So just as a broad idea, so everybody knows what we've taken and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just looked at my notes. I had that we were gonna go through it after the holidays, so.
Yeah, and I'll do it again after
Yeah, do
Christmas.
it again then and take a look and see what it's like. And that's because I brought up the point about how much, if somebody wanted another one or wanted to do something, how much we would charge.
Yep.
And that's whether there was gonna be a change in the reduction for extra or something like that.
Yep.
Okay, so I've got it written down for
After
January.
Yep.
2025.
Yeah, I just wanted, because it was
Yeah,
about
thank you.
4 months, 5 months, so.
So we did implement also the rental type of thing for.
We haven't had
Mexico.
anyone-
Had anybody ask for that? Okay. So they're managing with what they have.
Yep.
Pumpkins, were they a problem for you? Because I think a lot of us are used to putting the pumpkins in and you just wanted leaves. Does that matter to you?
You mean in a leaf pile?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can put the pumpkins right in the leaf
Okay.
pile. Yep. Yep, they'll suck up.
and the dead flowers and.
Yep, that's all.
It's not brush. There's no brush.
Yeah,
in
no, like,
November,
sticks
so
or
sticks
anything like
and
that.
kind of stuff, right?
I did have 2 other things. We were both made aware that one of our employees, Taylor Jones, passed his civil service in hopes of being a police officer. So at some point, we are gonna lose Taylor. So I would like to be a little proactive and before he leaves, get someone else in here. So I'd like to open up a maintenance worker position. We don't know if it'll be 3 weeks, 6 months, 2 years. It all depends on when he gets his canvas letter and academy and all that kind of stuff, but he's a pretty knowledgeable employee. He's still young with us, but I'd like to get someone in, especially before winter. In case he does get a canvas letter like in January, and then we're down an experienced plow driver.
Do we have the line available? That's budgeted at this point in time, Bobby, or not? Okay, thank you.
So just food for thought. You don't have to make a decision right now, but I can also get with Lori and figure out, money.
I think it's important to look for someone, and when you find somebody, obviously we'll look at it a little harder on our end to make
Yeah.
sure that we can find the
We
funds
have
to do
make
that.
sure the money's coming from.
Things, but I think it's not a bad idea to start looking, since all our past experience has been
Yeah, 6 months before. we can
finding
get
somebody's been a
somebody
little
in.
bit slower than faster, so.
Yep, and then I talked to Mayor Small today. We're gonna pick up the fire siren that's down at the Splash Car Wash on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And we'll store it up at Do Good for right now.
There's a couple people now all of a sudden that showed up. I went to 2 or 3 people. I was sure one guy was gonna take it. He said no.
Yep.
There's
So
a lot of
Spl-
people who expressed interest.
Splash Car Wash is under the understanding that we've wanted it all along. So we're gonna go pick it up from them on Tuesday, and then, whatever we do with it from there can be a board decision, but. It'll be stored up at Do Good for right now and just kept.
I'm gonna look into the history of it a little bit more and see if it's something we wanna keep, or where we wanna, what we wanna do with it, or how we want it to be preserved wherever.
One of the suggestions was Manly's Historical Society.
It's too big.
But they don't have, I mean, they have to be stored outside somewhere or whatever.
Yeah.
But
It
yeah,
can't
we're gonna
be-
look at the history of it, and then look into the history of it, and then we'll look at where maybe.
Just
we
as
can
a
have
forewarning, it
ideas.
cannot be stood back up without rebuilding the framing.
Right,
It's the framing, they just kind of knocked it down, so
right.
the actual siren itself is in decent condition, but the framing is. So
I don't think we even want the framing, probably. Just the siren itself, just the top portion. All right, anything else for the DPW?
What are you gonna do it Tuesday?
Tuesday, yep.
Week from today.
Mhm.
So I had one thing under my roundtable that was going to be in regards to driveways, and when people pave or repave their driveways and paving over our sidewalks and things of that nature. We've come into a situation where somebody has a driveway that's been paved over our sidewalk, and now the driveway is in disrepair. Which is, we've checked with Ted as far as council, and it becomes the property owner's responsibility when they pave over our sidewalk to take care of that pavement and make it safe for people passing by. So, so far I've talked to Mike Jones about enforcement of that aspect of things. But we're also looking at other communities who do require a permit when someone is repaving their driveway, and will know what's going on, where that we'll have an opportunity to see what condition the sidewalk is in that area before it's paved. We'll be able to see what it looks like after it's paved. We'll be able to have communication about not paving over them in the future. And we do have a neighborhood of Briarbrook where we did allow, when we put the sidewalks in after the development was made, and we did stop the sidewalks at each driveway. They don't go through the driveways there, so we got to look at all that, so that right now we're done, of course, with paving season. So we have a little bit of time on our hands to look into this a little further and get some information about where we have people that have paved over sidewalks and what condition there's in the area, and what we need to do to be able to make sure that the maintenance of them is taken care of in the future, as this one site has developed into a potential problem for the homeowner and for walkers or people, pedestrians and stuff like that. So we will be following up on that. Okay, fire department?
I don't think we have any applications.
I didn't get anything.
No.
I put in front of you guys a scope of services. This is for a company called Lexipol. And they do all of, their focus is policy management. And they'll take all of our existing stuff, merge it into a new documents. It comes back as a manual. They also maintain all the legal standards for everything. So if a law changes that we need to address, they'll automatically update the book and keep it current. We used to do a lot of this ourselves. And the trouble that I think we've been running into over the last maybe 4 months or 5 months is people don't like to sit at a computer and type. people don't like to do their homework and keep up on diligence of drafting policies and that kind of stuff, and I don't want to fall behind. We've been looking at this for 3 or 4 years. And it's in my budget this year to do it. But what I wanted you guys just to see the scope. And I've got to pull the trigger before the first of the year for half of it. So I'm not looking for approval tonight, but I want you to look at this, understand it, and I'll answer any questions, get you any more information you need.
Yeah, what's your fee structure on this? Just
It's $11,000. We broke it into 2 payments. Melius currently has it. Jansen got it when he took over because of what a disarray everything was in over there. And I don't want to fall into a problem like they were in. It's easy keeping it up now, but move forward and keep up on it and draft things. We just don't have the guys that have that. They're firemen. Before they were educators, we had different types of people, and that is young kids don't have that attention span anymore. Lucky I can get them to come to work. So it's a huge company. They really do a lot of the police. That's where it started, was in the police industry. So
Do they send you notifications that this has been updated then as they go?
they will.
I mean, I see that they update it as they need to,
Yep.
but then how would you know unless they tell you?
They stay right on top of everything. So
Would those updates continue? Would this be an ongoing?
it's an annual, it won't be $11,000 annually. It's so much this time because we have to merge our stuff and they have to create it. She's supposedly sending me procurement and annual fees.
Okay.
So what it'll be moving forward and how do I get it? How do you bid that out? You know, so I gotta know if there's a sole source or how I can get this product.
Is this the one Manlius has?
Yeah, yeah. And ours is a little bit less than what theirs was because we're gonna be able to take their manual and merge it with our stuff and should be pretty simple. A lot of our stuff's the same already, just in a different format. So
Who does DeWitt or any other?
DeWitt's been looking at it. Again, it's one of those things where you don't know you need it till you need it. You know, it depends on your workers and really what their capabilities are. So Jason's been talking about it for a couple years, just like we have been. But now it just really came to light that we're gonna have to pull the trigger sooner rather than later. And so my deputy chiefs were willing to take the project on. It's 2 hours a week. So he's willing to talk with them and go through everything 2 hours a week. So it'll be pretty nice to have someone that's gonna be dedicated to it. So. I only have requests to go to a conference. I'm not going to the VCOS that you guys approved a month ago. Yeah, they got the hurricane down there and we just decided to postpone that till next year. This is just my chief's meeting in Schenectady. It is next Tuesday and Wednesday. So just permission to go get
Just
a,
you or?
just me, yeah.
So motion by Dan, seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
That's all.
Next we have the MS4 agreement with Barton and LaJudas, and this would be for the year 2025, and also they had an extra report to file in this year, 2024, so this would include $450 towards this year, and then the balance towards next year. And the total is $11,800. So this is a requirement that we have to do, and they have been doing this now for several years for the village, and they have all of our information. It's just a matter of updating the reports that need to be filed, and they take care of things for us. So
There's 2 additional reports in this proposal for 2025 that's required. One is a high priority municipal facility SWIP. That's $3,200, and the other one is a training stormwater management program update, and that's $3,400. So that's $6,600. That won't be an ongoing cost, but as the engineer said, I don't know what they'll come up with for a new thing for 26. That doesn't mean that they won't replace that with some other new requirement that's needed. So as it is right now, $6,600 plus the $450, so $7,050, is more than normal. This quote is much higher than normal because of these additional reporting things that now that is mandated by the state. So,
What do we have that under?
It's under my stormwater
Yeah.
budgets.
Under your stormwater.
in 2025, we'll have to budget for it because, you know, now we have these numbers for our budget purposes, because we don't have it in there now. So anyway, we just need authorization for the mayor to sign that agreement.
I move that the mayor sign this agreement.
Moved
Okay,
and seconded. Any other discussion? On favor?
all right.
Next, we have a resolution that we were asked to pass. This was sent to us through NICOM. And this is in regards to the New York State, who in their adopted current budget included a $50 million increase in restricted aid for cities, villages, and towns, referred to as temporary municipal assistance. It's been 15 years since they increased this amount, and so they would like us to pass a resolution thanking them for increasing the amount and also to encourage them to keep it ongoing with inflation as years progress. So I'd read this resolution, whereas until 2024, cities, villages, and towns had not received an increase in unrestricted state aid AIM funding in 15 years, significantly impacting their ability to provide essential services to their residents. And whereas after a prolonged period without financial support, local governments finally received an increase of 50 million in unrestricted state aid. And whereas local officials expressed their gratitude for the 50 million increase in unrestricted state aid, recognizing it as a positive step towards addressing long-standing funding challenges. And whereas the state has referred to this new aid as temporary municipal assistance, suggesting that such increase may not continue, jeopardizing the sustainability of crucial municipal programs and services. And whereas the property tax cap further limits the ability of local governments to properly fund the programs and services their residents need. And whereas increased and ongoing state aid for local governments is vital for maintaining infrastructure, public safety, housing, and other municipal services. And whereas the challenges of inflation, the increasing costs of labor and supplies, and the end of extraordinary federal aid only accentuate the need for consistent and predictable funding to effectively plan for the future and meet the growing needs of their residents. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Fayetteville calls upon the governor and the state legislature to commit to continuing the additional 50 million in unrestricted state aid in the 25-26 state budget and beyond. And be it further resolved that the Village of Fayetteville urges state officials to recognize the need for a long-term plan that ensures consistent and predictable increases in financial support for local governments that keep pace with inflation. What motion?
I'll move to approve.
Move to accept this motion, adopt this motion.
I'll second.
Okay, and a copy would be sent to the governor, state majority leader, assembly speaker, senate or senator and our assemblyman, and the New York.
They actually increased it this past year, and it only increased by a couple $100. And we've been somewhere around, I think, around the $5,000 category, if I'm not mistaken, Mary. How much was it? Do you remember?
No, we get like $38,000 in
38, right.
aid to, it's
The
state
AIM
aid,
funding,
the
yeah.
AIM funding. Yeah, but it didn't go up for the village.
No, it only went up like a couple $100.
Yeah,
If I remember
it
right.
went up very,
And it was a big deal to actually get that increase.
yeah.
I mean, because it is what it is, and the state has, continued pushing what they need villages to do, et cetera. Like, we really need to make sure that, we basically asked them to make sure they continued it at that time and also increase it. And this is actually the same thing that we've done in the past.
That was my question though, is if I remember that this was, a long time coming.
Mhm.
And they discussed the extraordinary federal aid that won't be there anymore. But we don't calculate that. And if we only ask for this, we won't get this. So if we're losing that much federal aid, why wouldn't we be asking the state for more than what they just did? Because we have been behind for so long and because we will not have that federal aid.
Well, we are asking for more in this, in the fact of consistent and predictable increases in financial support. That's the last
We haven't
thing.
received federal aid in forever. I can't tell you when that stopped coming in.
So you think this applies more to towns and counties?
Well, the state, the aid to municipalities is, it is towns, cities, villages, in its proportionate, I believe, to the size of the
Of
town
the
and the,
People.
yeah. But the federal aid actually stopped more than 20 plus years ago. We used to get a lot of it, and actually it was for wastewater treatment facilities, and that phased out. So,
And I have to remind you too, $60 million doesn't go far when you start spreading it among all the municipalities. in the
right,
United States. That-
right.
It really is
Towns, villages.
not
cities.
much.
but you're not wrong. It needs to go up much more than, because it's been at the 38,000, whatever it is for just as long as, well, 15, 20.
15 years for
forever.
sure.
It's been set at that. With actually rumored that they're gonna take that away, but they didn't take it away. They did finally, every year it's been like the possibility of it going away.
Right.
So. Thank you.
Yeah, so all in favor?
Right.
Okay. Next, we will go to trustee Mark tonight.
I actually want to thank a bunch of people. Yesterday's Veterans Day ceremony at Veterans Park was really quite special. It's the kind of thing, and I want to offer particular thank you to the town of Manlius VFW 7872 and Paul Harino for being there. DPW was there as well. Our fire department was there. Thank you, Paul. The town of Manlius Police Center representatives as well. And I know Dan was there, and so was I, as well as Mayor Small. And Karen was there also helping us with what we have to do for those kinds of programs. Thank you for helping organize that, Karen. I appreciate it. And our county legislator, Mark Olson, was there as well. And there were a number of people from the community who stopped by because Veterans Day is actually a very special day. It's one of those days that you really don't have much of an opportunity to thank people for the service they've done for our country. I come from a family where my mother and father were both veterans of World War II. My father was a Marine, and that was all we knew. And my mother was an Army nurse and spent all of her time in England. After that, when I was one of my first jobs, I was an assistant dean of students at SUNY at Rockport. And I was responsible for helping integrate veterans into the student population. And the Office of Veterans Affairs for the university would bring them to my door. And many of them were people who were injured severely. And many of them were not, but they were mentally injured as well. And we don't think about those people on an ongoing basis to say thank you, and we should. And that's part of what I'm looking at when we're dealing with this. I never served, but I had many friends and people who I knew who served and paid very dear price for it. And their friends and cohorts paid the ultimate sacrifice as well. And so it's very much in my mind what we do in order for our country to be secure and to continue forward. The personal debt we have to these people, we can never repay. And that's the other part that I want to remember. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Good.
I'm good.
You're good? Okay.
Yeah. I went to the planning board meeting the other night, Mark, and I discussed it. I guess he's leaving it up to me. I was totally impressed with the board, their help aid, along with Karen, who's their secretary, and also prepares everybody for what they're doing and prepares the people for what they're. The people were just, it's a wit. I'm gonna go back a few years. It's the way the board used to do things, and they just did a great job. I don't wanna say that other boards didn't do it, but a few years back, they always looked for a way to help the person out if there was any difficulty at all. If there was a difficulty, maybe we could do it this way. And it was very impressive. I was impressed with each and every member, along with Karen, along with the attorney who also was involved in it. And it was just made me feel good. You know, I'm many occasions I've criticized things that the different boards did, or where their reasoning or thoughts came from or something like that. And maybe it's just because I agreed with everything they did last night. Maybe it won't happen again. But
I know
They-
that's not
they-
true.
they were exemplary, and here, you know, once again, Karen, the attorney, and the board said, you know, I mean, the next meeting, if they let me talk, I'll tell them that too. I was very proud to be on the board of trustees, but proud to be a resident, helping other residents. So
Can I speak about it? Being the liaison to the planning board, I want to thank Danny for them. You and I had a conversation at the board meeting, and it is very true. You and I, we both talked about it to one another. It's like how proud we were of our boards and working in the service they do to our community. And these are people who are giving a huge amount of time at times to our community and making sure our community runs properly. And that's one of the things that's really beneficial across the board. And Danny and I were talking about it. We were both very, very impressed about what was going on. And I like to be in that position, and having worked with these boards for the last couple of years, it's really, from my point of view, I always look at it's not what I do, it's actually what they do. And that's really what it's about.
Okay, anything else? Could you make sure that something like that gets in the minutes? Amending. Thank you. Trustee Casey?
3 points from the police committee, and so the on-site accreditation process was completed on Halloween. And at the exit interview, the department received a really glowing report from someone. Our assessor was someone with 20 years experience, having conducted over 80 reviews, accreditation reviews across the country. And his report will be forthcoming. There's a couple other steps that have to happen. It has to go before the commission itself, and then the commission has to then meet with the department. And one of the only areas in which they have been dinged, we have been dinged, is in the area of the facility with the obvious problems that we have all noted in the past few months, but definitely for all of you in the past few years. So that's one. And then the chief has a business advisory council, and they have met and recently discussed a really serious threat problem that's hitting the retailers hard. I don't know the figures, but supposedly they were quite shocking about the extent to which people are robbing the businesses. So as a result of those conversations and in consultation with the district attorney, the department has formed a retail crime task force. And they have been established to do a couple things: inform the public about the problem. And then they will also put plainclothes officers in retail establishments in order to provide that kind of identification where these instances occur. And they will arrest offenders when necessary. The most significant and regularly occurring complaint is that constant theft. So CORE is also being brought into this so that they could initiate this during the Thanksgiving season and analyze whether it has any impact, beneficial impact on this important shopping season. CORE will be doing some things with social media and regular media as a part of that rollout. And then the third part was that excuse me. 2025 is the 40th anniversary of the police department's founding. And in recognition of that, they will have new markings on the vehicles that are reflective, that are able to be recognized, the traditional blue outlining, and their motto, integrity and service, along the bottom. And then beginning in January 2025, there will be an additional decal placed on the vehicles, which depicts the three village police departments as part of that founding. And it will only go on the new, the decal will be placed on the cars for 2025. And the new markings will be, if I get this right, Sarah, the new markings will be applied to new vehicles, and it will be $700 less per vehicle. Okay. Got that in the ballpark? Okay, so one vehicle will be placed into service in January with the new markings. Do you have a question?
Yeah. It's been a long time since I was on committee. Was there a town board committee that did this? Or
Not to my
police departments?
Was,
The police department set up their own committee to be interviewed, et cetera.
For the CALIA.
Yeah.
Yeah, the supervisor and the liaison to the police.
Pardon me?
The supervisor and the liaison to the police department were part of that CALIA visit as well.
And then current policemen,
Yes,
and Mayor Brazil.
and
Mayor
people,
Brazil, and I believe.
citizens.
Yes,
Okay, well, that's what I mean.
and school officials. School administrative officials were also involved.
One school. I thought.
sure.
Right, she said school officials, so maybe more than one person, but they were from that town.
I don't
But
have
they're
the,
also
I don't have the
ESM
roster
too.
of everyone who was involved, but that was the summary.
There's a lot of officers at ESM and DECA.
Right, ESM is part of the school, or the town, Alex. Part of ESM. This town, with
ESM, it's up to us.
no, parts in, like, all Fremont area.
Yeah, I
it's
know.
all ESM school, so it's all town of Manly. Also, there's part, the other side of East Syracuse is town,
Right.
of they, that's the.
Okay.
ESM gets from two towns. Fayetteville Manlius is probably mostly the town of Manlius, I think, right? The school district, I don't,
There's a little bit of other places, but
I never looked at it.
Oh, like Erie Village.
They all go to ESM, right, but it's in the town of Manlius, so the town of Manlius Police Department. Okay, anything else? Casey? All right. I have just a couple of things afterwards, but anybody in the audience have anything they wanna say? Okay,
Bill,
Oh.
I gotta get together with Mike Jones, and see if we have a survey. For what we're given down behind, Kennedy,
okay,
our property lines. I guess there's probably a survey someplace.
Right.
Somebody gives you something, don't they give you a survey?
depends.
oh, it might be in.
Yeah,
like-
not necessarily, exactly. Not necessarily, but you didn't come with a survey.
They just say it's yours.
It's in the description in the deed, but it doesn't have a survey attached with it. The village would probably have to pay to have that done.
They must have, when it went through with the planning board, it must have been a survey.
Logic would
At that-
dictate
at that
that, but
point,
not
yeah.
necessarily.
Okay, that
May not have happened in reality.
that person would. Okay, that's what we need.
Right, so I've had a lot of questions in the community about the grocery store up here, so just trying to give everybody an update of where we stand. A resident in the village has sued the village, brought two different lawsuits against the village. One of those lawsuits has been completed at this point in time, and the village was not found in error, so that one is set aside. We have been through the first court and the village prevailed there in that particular lawsuit. The second lawsuit that has gone to the appeals court in the middle of October. And so we are waiting to hear a result from that court. And if the village prevails there, the resident does have, just like the first lawsuit that, or the other lawsuit that was brought against the village, that resident has the rights to take it on to the state level for one more appeal after that. So I don't know if Ted can give me any idea of a time frame of when any of those decisions might come about, but we're getting closer to having a grocery store.
Yeah, we would hope that a decision on the most recent argument at the appellate division in Rochester would be issued by year's end.
Okay,
It's an intelligent guess at best.
right. No, I know, we can't push the judges along, but it's, but just to give everybody an update, it's still moving forward, but it's gotta, we have to obviously wait for these lawsuits to be taken care of. Like I say, one has been taken care of, which gives us some hope that the next one will be taken care of sooner than later, and that we will be able to proceed with the grocery store in our village. And the only other thing that I wanted to reiterate to everyone is about the DPW. And we had a report today about the amount of trash, recycling, construction, bulk, hard fill. The village last year came to a conclusion that we would continue to offer the services that the village has traditionally provided to its residents, although we have made some changes to the timing of those collections. So bulk items instead, as of the new policy states, bulk items must be scheduled and they are picked up once a month instead of every week with your regular trash. This came about with a new trash truck and the new trash tote, and the recycling the same. The hard filling construction has been picked up once a month in the past as usual. It has continued to do that. And those two items must also be scheduled. So the changes that were made to the village residents were scheduling pickups as opposed to just putting stuff to the curb whenever it was convenient to put it to the curb. And this provides more efficiency in the operation of the DPW, the use of their time and vehicles, and the ability to keep the village more uniformly looking proper and correct. So I just want to make sure that people understand that. If they have complaints or they have issues, they're welcome to contact me. I'd be glad to talk to them about our decision. Also, to remind everybody that November, we've seen the number of leaves that have been picked up. We see the number of leaves along the streets, and November has been for the last several years a leaf only pickup. So we are not picking up brush. If you have it to the street, it will be picked up in December as usual once we start that again. So just want to thank the DPW particularly for doing a good job on the transition of all these things, and also on their leaf pickup for this year. So thank you.
I hear compliments to DPW frequently. People really appreciate the care that you guys take in your jobs. Thank you.
One other thing,
Yep.
we haven't touched on it, even though it's been out there. I want to remind people that tree lighting is going to be the day after Thanksgiving. And it's one of those, for me, it's one of the highlights. I'm sorry. I enjoy it. I really do. I love seeing the kids out there, and hopefully we'll have a touch of snow on the ground, just a touch. You know, so sorry, Bobby, but you know what I'm talking about. And so, you know, we in fact do have horse wagon rides going again, correct?
Wagons have been confirmed, yep, like I spoke with Woody today.
Good.
Which actually, I just want to confirm, I assume we're gonna keep with the same groups that we've been using.
I think that
Keep
seems
the
to
same-
work the best
Seems
down
the
there.
most effective, okay.
The chief likes it, I
Yeah,
think.
it seemed to be the safest possibility.
So one of us
He
has
says
a safe already.
It's been working out well, and I think everybody likes how it's been set up, so. I just wanted
I
to
appreciate
confirm
your patience.
One of us gotta be for meeting on Thursday night, see if the association's putting on.
I thought somebody already asked.
I think
that.
it's
It's
already
been addressed.
approved.
Yeah, already
It's
got
already
it,
been
hasn't
They did it last month, I think.
What?
I
Yes,
think they did it last month.
Okay.
thank you for the, but yes, we did.
So,
have
and-
participation from.
Right,
association
the
on that.
Firemen's Association is sponsoring one of the wagons, I believe, or whatever, giving us money towards the wagons at any rate, so. We
Yeah,
appreciate
Fayetteville
that.
Recreation will take care of light refreshments and I think, you know, as far as any entertainment within the building. I think we're good, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks for remembering that.
No, I was just getting ready to issue the chief
Well, we have a
a
meeting.
bucket and a shovel.
We have a meeting.
Well, we do have one more meeting before that, but
Yes,
it'll
we
be,
do.
it'll be, you know, close to the time,
That'd be
so
very close.
people can plan on it.
Good.
Probably are.
Yep.
Anything else?
Good, everybody good? Motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn.
Second?
Second,